If you've ever wondered what Canadian winter is really like, this is it. I am out braving the elements just to go get coffee. And freezing my hand off to film this too. Barely survived, but I secured the caffeine. Okay, we are back inside, and my hair survived the walk, so that's always positive. It's Saturday morning, the tree is on, it's much windier outside than I realized. I can hear the wind howling now that I'm back in, so I'm glad that was a quick errand. Got the coffee. Vanilla latte is my order, just in case anyone was wondering. And now I have Christmas presents to wrap. Lots of Christmas presents to wrap, and this is actually a reasonably light year for Christmas presents, but I've left everything till the last minute because it's not that that's what I do per se, but I'm not like a super Christmassy person. It's not that I don't enjoy the twinkly lights and all the treats and things, but I really hate the time of year. Like this weather, it's not for me. When I was a really little kid, I remember this vividly still. I was probably 3. I was out with my dad while he was shoveling. We'd just gotten a ton of snow. And I just remember how dismal it felt. And I looked up at him from the snowdrift and I was like, Dad, do you remember when it was summer? I was legitimately very concerned that summer was never going to come again because my life experience was so limited at that point, and the last summer felt like forever ago. And how did I know that the snow wasn't going to stay around for the rest of my life? So not my time of year, never has been. And then I don't know, Christmas is one of those times of year that just feels so stressful for so many people, and I think I kind of pick up on that vibe. Like lots of stuff is really wonderful, but lots of it is like very much an obligation, and people feel like they have to do things and then they're not happy doing those things, and the energy can be just weird and unpleasant because when you're not happy in a scenario, other people can feel that, right? So I don't know, the lesson I've kind of taken from that over time is don't do things out of a sense of obligation. Don't do things that don't make you happy, or don't prioritize other people's happiness over your own. So we tend to keep Christmas fairly low-key. I say low-key, I'm hosting a dinner on Friday this coming week, and I'm also hosting Christmas brunch. Ian and I are doing that. So low-key is a relative term, and we've got a Christmas lunch tomorrow. Like there's stuff. Everybody's got stuff, right? But I have pre-wrapped some gifts, and now I need to label them. I have not wrapped all the gifts yet. There's some I still have to wrap. Tell me you have nephews without telling me you have nephews. This is one of many Funko Pops that I still have to wrap. Anyway, but we're going to do gift tags, and this is not something that I recommend that anybody do. It's just a thing that I do because I like Christmas to have a certain aesthetic like everything. And so instead of buying gift tags, what I like to do is I like to paint people's names on their gifts. And I don't recommend doing that if you don't have years and years of painting experience and lots of time on your hands to drive yourself slightly crazy. But it is fun. It's a nice thing that makes people's gifts special. I just use some black acrylic paint. If I can close it, I don't paint that often these days, so my tubes of paint are often sticky. I've got a super fine paintbrush and my little painting Pyrex full of water, and I'm gonna really wet the brush and then get some black paint. And luckily I have a forgiving family that doesn't mind if I paint their names slightly blobby Oh, and there I've already made it blow up. There we go. Okay, let's see. This is coming out a little thicker than I would have liked, but that's okay. I do just do this freehand, again, because I'm slightly insane. Oh yeah, this is a lot thicker than I would have wanted it to be. Well, we practice and we get better. I don't paint very often anymore, so this is what happens when you don't paint very often, is you're out of practice when you go to do it, and it doesn't turn out the way you would hope it might. Oh, there we go. I got into a rhythm as I got towards the end of my friend Caitlin's name. So there we go. It's a bit blobby. I'm gonna slightly touch it up. And then I'm gonna do some of the others. And I will put ribbon on them, of course, because I do everything to aesthetic. Let me show you the ribbon that I have to go with everything. Where is it? Here. If you follow me on Instagram or read my blog, you know that like everything has to be aesthetic. So we have black, beige, and ecru satin ribbon this year for the gifts, because why would I just buy red and green? That would be simple, that would be basic, and that would not be me. So that is not what I have done. Okay, I'm gonna paint a couple more of these while I talk. This next one is my dad's 3-letter names are the bane of my existence. I don't have enough time as I am painting to really get into a rhythm and make it look nice. So I should concentrate, but instead I'm gonna talk, and I'm gonna wave my paintbrush around and lift my coffee, and I'm not a calm person. The caffeine probably doesn't help that. Anyway, so since last we chatted, a couple of things have happened. One of which is, I think we're buying a car, and not buying a car, leasing a car probably, because, surprise, at my advanced age, I have never owned a car, and never really wanted to be honest. Growing up as a very privileged person, once I learned to drive, there was always a car available to me at home, which was lovely. Actually, the car that I drove in my late teens is still around, and my parents are generous enough to still let me use it if I need it. It's like 23 years old now, so that's neither here nor there. The fact that it's still running and in good shape is a wonderful thing. I love my ancient RAV4. But after high school, I moved to a major city where transit was readily available, and where, frankly, I was in university. I couldn't afford to own a car, couldn't afford to pay for gas, couldn't afford any of those things. So I didn't have a car, and that was life. Transit worked fine, and I lived there for over a decade with periods in Paris in between. And you don't have a car in Paris. You'd have to be not insane. It would have been insane for me to have a car in Paris. It would not have made any sense. For some other people, it might make sense, but like the cost, the parking, all the things, it just would not have been practicable. We've been back in Winnipeg for 7 years now and have been stubbornly resisting the idea of a car. I work from home. Ian has always worked close to home, close enough that it didn't really matter. And the old RAV4 is still kicking, so we've been lucky enough not to need to worry about it. He has a bike, he likes to bike to and from work, but he changed jobs in April of this year, and he's working a lot farther from home now. And he was quite positive that he was going to still be able to bike through the winter, and far be it from me. I've started painting again as I'm talking to try and dissuade him from doing that. It's good for his health. It's a reasonable distance, all of those things. So like, absolutely do your thing. You enjoy doing this. But of course, it went to like minus 30 something this week, and his winter bike broke on, oh shoot. D is not what I wanted it to be. I have flubbed this while I'm talking. It broke on the ride home. He had to call his brother to come and pick him up. He was not injured or anything, so that's positive, always positive. But it's obviously, we live in Winnipeg, it's going to go to -30 again, and the bike is broken. And how many bikes are we going to buy this winter? The answer is no more bikes. So we're looking at a car. The next time that I pop in, we may have a car. We shall see. So more to come on that. We're looking at a Nissan, I think, or maybe a Hyundai. I don't really know. I don't know a ton about cars because I've never owned one, and because they're just not something I'm super interested in, to be perfectly honest. But you know, we have to have a way to get places. So that's important. So yeah, I should probably focus on my painting. Okay, so this is my favorite thing about YouTube so far, is playing Tetris with like, how many things do I need to stack up so that I can put my phone in the right place to record. I think I might need a tripod, but you know, I'll have to have shot more than 2 videos first. Okay, so we have completed painting. You keep getting to see the same thing. Some of this has turned out better. This one, my nephew Johnny. This one turned out pretty well. Not my best effort, but you know what, the paper is going to get ripped off in 3 seconds anyway. So, say looky, we're going to put some ribbon on things now. So we're buying a car, leasing a car. I need to use the right verb at some point. Still working on the coffee. And Christmas is coming very soon, and we are hosting a couple of gatherings. Next weekend is BFF. I have to count. BFF. Yeah, 5 F's. Christmas, which is a tradition that my best friend Topher and I have had for the longest time. It goes back to when we first moved to Vancouver, when we were about super young. We didn't move together, but we did move shortly after one another. I went to study creative writing at UBC, and I think it was the following year he got into Vancouver Film School and also came to live in Vancouver. And it's still really expensive to travel during the holidays, but especially when you're a student and you're newly in the workforce, and you know, you're in the workforce for the first time, so you don't always get priority for vacation or things like that. Neither one of us really had a lot of latitude or ability to come home for the holidays. I don't know how much either of us necessarily wanted to at that age. Anyway, we were sort of, you know, making our own lives and doing our own thing, and that was really fun. It was a really fun time of life, but obviously we still wanted to celebrate Christmas, and so we decided to start our own tradition, which we used to host at the first apartment that Ian and I ever owned, which was on McGill Street in East Vancouver. Oh my gosh, that apartment. Ground floor apartment at basically the corner of McGill and Nanaimo, faced out onto the street. It was so loud. Thank God I can sleep through absolutely anything, or I don't think I ever would have gotten any sleep. And because it was ground floor in Vancouver, which is a rainforest, if we ever opened the doors or windows, like every creepy crawly creature you can imagine would just wander in. Sadly, the day the mouse leapt in the window was not the highlight of living in that apartment, although it was horrifying. It was the day that a giant house spider went running through my living room while I was doing yoga. I had never seen a spider so big. Honestly, the thing was the size of my fist. I woke Ian up, and I never do things like that, really. I'm not really that afraid of bugs. I don't love them. I don't want to like have a pet spider or anything, but I'm not bothered by their existence. But this thing was so big, I was just like, I'm sorry, I cannot deal with this right now. So you are gonna get out of bed, sir, and you are gonna trap the giant spider. And we had these like tumbler glasses, and he thought he'd sort of be humane about the whole thing and trap the spider under a glass, which he did do, except that it was kind of too big to be trapped under a glass, and one of its little legs was sticking, like its legs were sticking out. Not little legs, they were huge. This was a huge spider. Anyway, so I've digressed somewhat. We started Christmas at this apartment, and because we are both vegetarian, we would make this vegetarian pot pie, which is amazing. Truly, it is the best recipe. I'll see if I can actually find it still on the internet, because that's definitely what I did when I found it and told Ian, I think this looks great, you should make it, because I don't cook, for anyone who is wondering. I can make rice, I can make toast, I pour an excellent bowl of cereal. Other than that, cooking is not a thing for me. So, yeah, and we've been making it ever since. Look, a present, it has a ribbon on it. I've been talking for 5 minutes, I got one bow tied. Anyway, so yeah, that is what is happening next weekend. That will be exciting. I think I've figured out dessert. Tover is in charge of potatoes this year, so I'm very excited to see what he is making. It is going to be a surprise. He is doing a potato experiment, which I'm all for. I love potatoes in all of their forms. So we will just see. And then Christmas is going to be here. I can't believe how fast it's come up. It always comes up so fast. And every year I think like, this year I'm going to be super prepared and I'm going to do all the things, but I refuse to start doing any of the things till December 1st because I'm in denial. And then the next thing I know, it's December 14th and I'm recording a YouTube video while I wrap every Christmas present I bought because I haven't done anything yet. So anyway, this is a holiday season with me. If you are a warmer, fuzzier, more prepared person, I truly applaud and admire you, because I cannot. It's not that I can't. I probably could get it together if I really were inclined to, but I'm not. So I procrastinate, and then here I am, and that just is what it is. 'Tis the season. But, before we know it, it really will, it always comes and goes so fast. It will be over, and it will be January, which is the darkest and most dismal time of year, especially in Winnipeg. But we will be going to Lisbon briefly, so I'm really looking forward to that after all of this is said and done. But right now, I'm watching my phone sit very precariously on this stack of books, and I'm thinking, I better just focus on what I'm doing and stop filming before we have some kind of accident. So that's what I'm gonna do. And that's it. Everything's wrapped. It's under the tree. And another YouTube video comes to an end. Thanks so much for watching, friends. I'll see you soon.